Imagine having your grandmother on death row. It's a heartbreaking reality for some. As of today, around 52 women are on death row in the United States. What's surprising is that not all of these women are young. Some are well into their senior years. In this video, we'll take a look at the 5 oldest women currently on death row in the US and delve into their stories. Stay tuned until the end, because the age of the oldest woman on this list might shock you. Number 1. The Black Widow Killer, October 1990. At the center of this chilling story is Blanche Kaiser Taylor Moore, who was 57 at the time. On the surface, she appeared as ordinary as they come. But as the saying goes, still waters run deep. Blanche's life seemed typical. The daughter of a preacher, a churchgoer, a family woman, and a senior employee at Kroger in Burlington. However, her life took a dark turn when she met Reed, a divorced grocery store manager at Kroger. Blanche had climbed the ranks to become the head cashier, but her coworkers had mixed opinions about her. Some found her vindictive and two-faced, according to a 1989 article in the Baltimore Sun. Blanche and Reed started working together in 1962, but didn't begin their relationship until 1979. Court documents reveal that Reed once confided to a fellow Kroger employee that he and Blanche might have married if not for her close-knit family ties. Blanche remained at Kroger while Reed was transferred to various locations, eventually managing a store in Winston-Salem. After a brief stint in Durham, Blanche resigned from Kroger on October 17, 1985. Just a few months after retiring, Blanche invited Reed over for New Year's Eve and served him her homemade potato soup. Reed, typically in good health, began the new year severely ill. His promising career came to an abrupt end on May 29, 1986. Tragically, he passed away in a Winston-Salem hospital less than 5 months later. Initially, doctors attributed his death to Guillain-Barré syndrome. He was only 50. Blanche was found guilty of murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder, and in 1991, she was sentenced to death. Now 90 years old, she has been on death row for nearly 3 decades. Number 2. Lisa Carpenter Graham. Lisa Carpenter Graham was 56 years old when she found herself on death row at Tutwiler on February 26, 2016. Her crime: she hired someone to murder her own daughter. At 40, Lisa believed her 20-year-old daughter, Stephanie Shea Graham, was the root of all her problems. According to legal reports, she even confessed, "I'd take her life myself if I could get away with it." Desperation led Lisa to offer a neighbor $5,000 to kill Shea. Court records reveal her chilling words, "I want her gone." On July 5, 2007, Lisa's plan came to fruition. She had arranged for Walton to lure Shea to a secluded spot in Russell County under the guise of gifting her a car. Tragically, Shea was shot multiple times. After the murder, Lisa retrieved the gun from Walton and took it to her father, Warren Thompson, to be cleaned. During the investigation, Walton confessed and requested legal help and bail money from Lisa. This conversation was secretly recorded by Lisa's husband, Kevin, and handed over to the authorities. Lisa was brought in for questioning. During a conversation with her husband, she acknowledged her previous statements about killing Shea but dismissed them as jokes. Years passed, and on June 14, 2012, Walton was sentenced to life in prison for his role in the crime. Lisa's trial was initially delayed due to the judge's health issues. When preparations for the second trial began, Lisa's defense argued that another trial would constitute double jeopardy, a motion rejected by both the Alabama Court of Appeals and the Alabama Supreme Court. Finally, on March 5, 2014, Lisa was found guilty. Her sentencing was postponed due to her medical conditions, including PTSD and medications for schizophrenia. After expert testimonies about her low IQ and severe depression, Lisa was ultimately sentenced to death row.
Yes. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, ma'am.
But you felt what he said was beautiful.
Yes.
He doesn't want to lose you.
No, he don't.
Number 3. The Angel of Death. Not all angels are good. Meet Jenny Jones, known as the Angel of Death. Born in 1950, this former pediatric nurse has been on death row since 1985 for killing babies. Jenny Jones is believed to have killed at least 11 babies while working as a nurse in San Antonio, Texas, in the late 1970s and early 1980s. She would inject them with deadly drugs, then try to revive them to look like a hero. Authorities noticed an unusually high number of infant deaths during her shifts and started investigating. She was first charged with killing one baby, Chelsea McClellan, but later faced more charges for other deaths. In 1984, Jones moved to Kentucky and worked in another clinic, where she was again suspected of overdosing patients. She was caught and brought back to Texas for trial. At her trial, Jones pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but she was found guilty and sentenced to 99 years in prison. Her sentence was later extended as more evidence was found. Now 74 years old, she has spent over 35 years on death row. Number 4. The Motherly Murderer. This case sounds like a horror movie, but it's real. Meet Dorothea Montalvo Puente, the death house landlady. Born in California in 1929, she was convicted of killing her elderly tenants for their money. In the 1980s, Puente ran a boarding house for the elderly in Sacramento. She would befriend them, offer food and shelter, and then kill them to collect their Social Security benefits and pensions. Her victims were between 60 and 80 years old. She often drugged them before burying their bodies in her backyard. Puente was caught when a social worker reported a tenant missing. Investigators found 7 bodies on her property, but Puente was only charged with 3 murders due to lack of evidence for the others. In 1993, Puente was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without parole. She died in 2011 at the age of 82 while still serving her sentence. During her last trial, Puente claimed to have killed 25 people, but there is no evidence to support this. Number 5. Tierra Caprigal. Tierra Caprigal, now 40, has been on death row since January 6, 2006, for the shocking murder of her baby son. On December 15, 2004, 4-month-old Phoenix Parrish was rushed to the ER at Southeast Alabama Medical Center, but despite efforts, he died. The autopsy revealed severe injuries, a skull fracture, bruises, and fractures. A tear in his mouth suggested force feeding. Phoenix, born August 8, 2004, was taken from Tierra by the Florida Department of Children and Families just a day after birth. Despite being prohibited from seeing her children, Tierra and her boyfriend, Samuel David Hunter, lived with Phoenix. Legal proceedings to terminate her parental rights were underway when Phoenix died. Tierra was arrested and admitted to being Phoenix's main caretaker. She claimed she might have hurt him accidentally and described Hunter as abusive. A letter from Tierra expressed regret, but claimed the death was unintentional. At 21, Tierra was convicted of capital murder. The jury recommended the death sentence by a 10-2 vote, and Tierra was sentenced to death row. Do you think these death row sentences were justified for these elderly women, or do you believe that every individual on death row has a story worth hearing? We'd love to hear your perspective in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more compelling content. Your support helps us continue to explore and share thought-provoking stories.